Welcome, thrill seekers, to a world of spine-chilling tales and hair-raising adventures. Gather around for a frightful journey into the unknown as we delve deep into the realm of scary stories. Buckle up, hold on tight, and get ready to experience a rush of terror like never before. The old mansion on the outskirts of town had always been shrouded in mystery. Local legend had it that it was haunted by the vengeful spirit of a jilted lover who had been betrayed by her fiancé and had taken her own life in the house. Despite the warnings of the townspeople, a group of teenagers decided to explore the mansion one Halloween night. They thought it would be a thrilling adventure, and they were eager to prove that there was no such thing as ghosts. But as they stepped inside the mansion's creaky old doors, they knew immediately that they had made a grave mistake. The air was thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the sound of their own footsteps on the dusty floorboards. As they walked through the dark and gloomy hallways, the friends began to feel a sense of unease creeping over them. They could hear strange whispers in the air, and they could feel cold gusts of wind blowing through the rooms. Suddenly, they heard a blood-curdling scream coming from upstairs. Their hearts pounding in their chests, they rushed up the stairs, only to find themselves face to face with the vengeful spirit of the jilted lover. The jilted lover was a young woman named Elizabeth who had fallen deeply in love with a handsome and wealthy man named Jonathan. They had met at a ball, and they had fallen in love at first sight. Elizabeth thought that Jonathan was the man of her dreams, and she had accepted his proposal of marriage with joy in her heart. But little did she know that Jonathan had a dark secret. He was already engaged to another woman, a wealthy heiress whom he had agreed to marry for her money. When Elizabeth discovered the truth, she was devastated. Her heart was broken, and she felt as though her entire world had crumbled around her. She tried to confront Jonathan, but he refused to listen to her, insisting that he had no choice but to marry the other woman. In her despair, Elizabeth took her own life in the mansion where she had lived with her family. But her spirit could not rest. She was consumed with anger and bitterness, and she vowed to seek revenge on Jonathan and all those who had betrayed her. As the teenagers stood frozen in fear, the vengeful spirit of Elizabeth began to tell her story. She spoke in a cold and chilling voice, her eyes blazing with anger and hatred. "I was betrayed by the man I loved," she said. "He promised me his heart, and then he cast me aside like a piece of garbage. But I will not rest until I have exacted my revenge." With those words, she cursed the teenagers, promising that they would never leave the mansion alive. They tried to run, but the doors and windows were all locked, and they were trapped inside with the vengeful spirit. As the night wore on, the teenagers began to feel the effects of the curse. They could hear strange whispers in their ears, and they could feel cold fingers brushing against their skin. They saw shadowy figures moving through the darkness, and they could hear the sound of Elizabeth's ghostly laughter echoing through the halls. But as dawn began to break, one of the teenagers, a brave young woman named Emily, came up with a plan. She remembered a story her grandmother had told her about breaking curses, and she knew that they had to find the object that was anchoring Elizabeth's spirit to the mansion. They searched the house, room by room, until they finally found the object that they were looking for, a locket that had belonged to Elizabeth. Emily recognized the locket from the story her grandmother had told her, and she knew that it was the key to breaking the curse. As Emily held the locket in her hands, she felt a strange power flowing through her. She knew that she had to destroy the locket to break the curse, but she also knew that doing so would anger Elizabeth's spirit even further. Taking a deep breath, Emily closed her eyes and smashed the locket on the floor. The sound of breaking glass echoed through the mansion, and for a moment, everything went still. But then, Elizabeth's spirit appeared before them, angrier than ever. She screamed and raged, promising to haunt them for all eternity. But as she raged, the curse began to lift. The doors and windows that had been locked before suddenly opened, and the teenagers were free to escape. They ran from the mansion as fast as they could, not looking back until they were miles away. In the days and weeks that followed, the teenagers could still feel the aftereffects of the curse. They had nightmares and felt a sense of unease whenever they were alone in the dark. But they knew that they had done the right thing by breaking the curse. They had freed Elizabeth's spirit and put an end to her vengeful reign of terror. Years later, The old mansion was demolished, and a new building was erected in its place. But the legend of Elizabeth's spirit lived on, passed down through the generations as a warning to all who would betray the ones they love. As the night draws to a close, we bid farewell to the terrors that haunted us and the spine-tingling tales that kept us on the edge of our seats. Remember, the darkness may linger, but the dawn always brings a new light. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and never stop exploring the mysteries of the unknown.